Hello everyone, welcome back to Base Damage. Hope you are all doing well. Today for the tournament report, we're going to be taking a look at the Cardiff and Tampa regionals that happened just this last weekend. In fact, Joe and I actually went to Tampa this Thursday, whatever day this is coming out. This actually might come out Thursday. We also have a vlog coming out on that Thursday. I just remembered something else I have to remind Joe about in a little bit here. Figured we would go ahead and take a look at the decks and everything. We do have the results for Sydney, but I'm going to hold off on that. Kutsu in the Discord was able to hit me up and got me a Google document with like the breakdown of the different decks and everything from the Sydney, Australia regionals, but said he's also going to try to get me the one for Jakarta. So I figured it would be good to just try to lump those together. And just have those as one separate video, whereas for the Cardiff and Tampa ones, I could talk about together in this one particular video because we got some interesting information for this, and I do want to give like some clarification for stuff that happened in Tampa as well, because there is, like, how do I put this? Everybody was wrong, if we just want to say it bluntly. Everyone's been kind of like trying to predict what all's going to happen with the meta and everything after the restricted list or the ban list hits and everything. But it seems like we were just like, as far as the results go, we were completely and totally wrong just across the board, which is kind of nuts. But let's get right into this. For Cardiff and Tampa, we are going to go over here and look at the Bushiroad site, just as always, just to kind of show what was allowed and what wasn't. For Cardiff, the only things that weren't allowed were Marvel and Pixar, and Southeast Asia, shoutouts. But they also had a thing going on with the Izumi Kita actress again, so awesome, really cool. But then for the North and Latin America, for Tampa, once again, the only two things, Marvel, Pixar. So everything that we're going to look at is basically at full power. Like, no weird, like, oh, you can run these two sets, but you can't run the movie set, or, some kind of, shenanigans like that. Because when we look at Cardiff, Nino won. So we had 82 players in Cardiff, which is really cool. We only had 74 in Tampa, but that's still, like, amazing turnout, considering this was the first year they've had it in Tampa. I know people have been asking for, like, a Florida regionals for a long while. But 82 players in Cardiff. Nino won it, and we're going to be taking a look at the decks today. Shoutouts to the second place with Polka Choco. I've seen this Polka Choco list like pop up, or like, I don't know if it's the same person or if it's like multiple people on this particular setup. But I've seen like these Choco decks popping up for Hololive a whole bunch. Shoutouts to y'all. Like, the dedication is insane. We have Spy Family in third place, Free Ren in I'm gonna say eighth place, but it's because I see 8 pants. In fourth place, Free Ren with 8 pants Strawbeck, Shakugan no Shana with Choice Door, Ruby with Choice Standby, another Spy Family, and another Nino. If you haven't already noticed it, this is post-ban list. We see absolutely no Overlord in this top 8. We see absolutely no 7 Deadly Sins, and no Slime. Now, I don't know the breakdown for Cardiff, and I know Weiss Schwarz streamed the like feature matches and everything, so I don't know if maybe in some of the earlier feature matches if there were people on any of those 3 decks, but as far as the top 8, none of those decks topped. So we're starting to question, some consistency hits here. Like, okay, looks like it did matter with Overlord. It did matter with Deadly Sins, dot this, dot that. And especially like the Slime hits. Like, this makes you think like the results of that restricted list actually enforce something. But before we jump into the Nino deck, I am going to scroll down and kind of show you it didn't really. So it's just really weird to see like none of those in here, but then Overlord won Tampa. But let's look at the Nino deck first to showcase a little bit. Obviously, give credit where credit is due. Rocking up with the level 3 combo that on attack with the Climax, you can pay 1, pitch 1 to burn for 3. So really nice there. and the level 1 climax combo with stealthy strong attack. On attack, you can top check 2, like most of the Nino cards do, and when the battle opponent becomes reversed, you can salvage back a character. Both of these obviously are standby, but also all of these are like alternate arts for the most part. They've got high rarity for like most of the cards in this deck, which is really cool. Now, one thing I did want to point out, because of this particular level 0 Nino, a lot of people decided to drop the other level 0 daily routine Nino in exchange for running the -3 soul bracelet event that was on a pick 1 of 3 list. The daily routine and the event were on a pick 1 of 3, and a lot of people started dropping the daily routine in favor of running the event instead. However, it might be hard to tell because this is the SR version, but this is that daily routine Nino. So instead of the event, they decided to run this, and instead opted for this other bike riding event, it looks like. So, hey, totally cool. Obviously, it did something for the player and got them in first place. So, really awesome there. But let's continue on with, what was the other one? Okay, it was Nino. And that is going to be it for Cardiff. We're going to go to Tampa now. So, if anyone, just as always, I just blanket, just kind of invitation. For anyone who did top in these, the top 8, or even if you just went to Cardiff to go hang out or whatever, do please feel free to comment down below. Let us know where you placed on here in the grand scheme of things, or whatever you were playing, or tell us if you went to Cardiff and had a good time there. It'd be really cool to know. But also go check out Weiss and Chill's video for it. I say video, but like the VOD for it. Go show him some love for streaming it and everything. It's really freaking cool. So going on to Tampa. Tampa, I have some very interesting opinions about. Because Overlord won it. So this is Overlord's second, official win. And that is just hilarious that this was what won it after the restricted list. Because when the restricted list happened, I saw the hits to Overlord. And to each their own, before I say this, I saw the hits and immediately thought that those hits were pointless, like it was a nothing burger, right? I'm like, they could just find other stuff, right? But most of the other people in the Discord and in the community were saying, oh no, it actually is like a big hit. So I kind of went with it and just trusted them on it because I'm a dummy. I'm a big dumb dummy when it comes to a lot of this. But it seems like all of us were wrong at that point, and it seems that Overlord could still rock up to a regionals and be like, what's good with you? And from what I was told by one of the judges, there were only 2 Overlord decks at the Tampa event, which is just kind of nuts to me as well. So we have Overlord in first place, which we do have the deck list up. We shall take a look at that in a second here. We have, I was supposed to say some Deadly Sins, but that's next. We have Nino, second place. So once again, Nino got all of her buffs. She's back. She's ready to fight it out. Then we have third and fourth place are both 7 Deadly Sins with Elizabeth Hendrickson. Fifth place is Ruby with a triple standby setup. Hololive, we actually ended up hanging out with this guy. In sixth place was Hololive with Callie Marin. And I do not remember your name, my dude. I'm very sorry. But the guy who actually got sixth place here ended up hanging out with us in the Airbnb after the tournament and everything was over. We went and got food and just went back to the Airbnb to chill, where it was me, Joe, Steve, Goth Mom, Ben from Refresh Point, Biri, this guy, like I said, I don't remember his name, but we also had another guy I'm going to talk about in a second here named Cameron. His is very important because of the 9th place here is what he got, and we'll talk about that in a second here. We had 7th place was another Nino deck from Quintuplets, and 8th place was a 3-choice split for Oshi no Ko. So 9th place was our buddy Cameron in Rocking Slime. So he was on Slime. I want to say his was the Standby Miron. Do not hold me to that, but I want to say that was the build. And then in 10th place, because I do want to give a huge shout out to her, Goth Mom showed up with Hololive and got 10th place overall. Freaking awesome. Give her a round of applause because that was just so cool to see. We were hoping maybe somebody else up in here was going to fail deck check and she would get pushed up into the top 8. That would have been so cool, but sadly didn't work out that way. That is totally fine. It's all good. But So that's kind of what I want to point out. So we had basically Slime sitting here at a quote-unquote 9th place, ready to rock up in case somebody failed deck check. But we still had, so we had 2 Overlord players, like apparently in the entire tournament. Shoutouts to Homeboy who did make it. And we're going to take a look at that deck now. So obviously still rocking the Eins. The level 1 Eins here is what was put on the pick 1 of 3. With a particular level 2 Yuri, obviously, that is not in here. In fact, it looks like they dropped their level 2 game altogether, as well as a level 1 Shaltir with the Vampire Bride combo that lets you deal yourself damage to draw more cards. It turns out they just, kept with the Shaltir level 1 combo, and then just, I think a lot of decks were already on this Sebas, but it seems like this was just the other level 1 card for like some advantage that people were running for it, which is totally cool. It's basically an on attack, the turn that it's played, on attack, pay 1, pitch 2 to search for 2. So really cool there. And I'm not as familiar with a lot of the other Overlord cards, so I'm not certain what cards replaced like the Vampire Brides and whatnot, but they seem to just say, okay, cool, to heck with it. I have consistency in the deck anyway. So this is another thing where we thought the Overlord hits were gonna matter, and it seems it didn't really matter for the hits. I don't know. I really don't know what to say for that. But moving right along, the other one that I wanted to point out was the Elizabeth Hendrickson, and this is something that basically the entire, also love the deck list here, haven't played for 2 months. It comes right back and gets like 3rd place. One of the big hits to 7 Deadly Sins were this level 3 Diane got put on a choice list with this and a particular level 3 Dreyfus. We kind of called it. Like, I want to give props to the Base Damage Discord that we basically immediately called it that this Hawk right here was going to replace the Dreyfus. A lot of other people were like, no, it's too much stock to have to do so. But I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up here as well. Give that time to load in. Actually, it might be done. Oh, no, okay. Yeah, the 4th place was on it too, guys. Just tech in the 1 copy. You do the same thing just for a little bit more cost. There's really no change to the deck outside of that. And 2 of them still topped. Like, it's not like it really hit the consistency that much. So that was truly a nothing burger. The Overlord hit was also kind of a nothing burger. The Slime hit is actually interesting that no Slime decks topped in these. Like I said, there was one literally sitting at 9th place ready to, kind of the put me in coach, type of mentality here. But we had him, Joe was on Slime. I saw other Slime players at this tournament. It's just really crazy that, like, no one else topped with it. Like, Joe got some bad RNG, like, all day, which is totally fair. But apparently, maybe RNG just was weird here. Because I'm not going to go over each individual deck, but if you scroll down to the Australia that happened the very next day, we have 2 Slime decks right here. So that will be discussed for the next tournament report video. But it's not like Slime completely died. It just somehow had not as much representation for this. Maybe the list didn't so much, make it so people didn't have the consistency. Maybe people just decided, cool, I'm done with it, and just decided to move on to something else. Whether that was, a 7 Deadly Sins deck sitting in their back pocket, or something else up here. We had quite a bit, or maybe they just went, quintuplets or something. I really don't know. But it was a very fun tournament, very fun regionals. I can't wait for the next one. Oh, I'm so hyped for whenever we have teams and the schedule for teams getting announced. I definitely want to go back. But yeah, it's just shout outs to the Nino deck and the Overlord deck that got 1st place in each of their respective regionals. And once again, it looks like, bacon is in the kitchen cooking. Just saying, you can be mad all day, but it's what happened. We kind of call I'm saying it, the base damage people called it, man. Just saying, like within 10 minutes of that ban list dropping, someone immediately was like, yo, I found a replacement. So there you go. Alrighty, that is going to be it for us today. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that cringy YouTuber shenanigans. And if you want to join the Discord the next time we decide to rip a new one on the ban list, and whether we are right or wrong, it doesn't even matter. If you want to join, there will be a link for the Discord in the description as well. Feel free to join there, and we will see y'all on the flip side. Stay based.